Thank you so much, Geoffrey, for your time and help. This interview is all about letting other American companies in architecture, engineering, and construction industry know that our services are reliable. So your testimonial will really help potential clients, understand what we do and build trust.
First, I just want to say thank you for thinking of me for this. I always had the intent for this company to grow it with more intention, with a little bit of a slower rate, so I never overextended myself. And I wanted to take my time and really consciously look for very specific people that are the highest quality candidates. One of the things coming out of COVID, actually, that I really valued was the ability to work remote. And then I was able to ask some colleagues, who are they using to find staff? And they recommended BetterPros. And I was like, well, this is a no-brainer. Let's just talk. It was amazing to have such an easy facility in which to say, I have a need. And then that need was met with really high quality candidates. And the really appealing thing about BetterPros is you guys had, first off, you had a catalog of highly qualified candidates. Secondly, in 24 hours, I had a meeting with you guys, our first meeting. Within a week, saying let's move forward, I had 3 candidates ready. You had previously sent me portfolios. They were all qualified. You gave a recommendation because you pre-screened them. And then a week after I selected one, they were already onboarded. The expediency, the speed at which you guys worked, at first that was a little like, really going to take like 7 to 14 days from time of execution. And it did. And I remember always hiring people in the States. It's like weeks of interviews. And here, your pricing was laid out extremely clear. Your candidates were highly qualified. You gave me portfolios of exactly what I was looking for. You listened to my requests, and then they were up and running in the time frame that you actually committed to, which was like amazing.
What's your favorite part about architecture? What led you into this world?
That's been a really big surprise for me in the industry, because I thought it was just going to be like, oh, I love designing really amazing things. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, these people that are asking me to be a collaborator on their vision are like really awesome people that I'm going to know for a really long time. Yeah, so that's a roundabout way of saying first it was beautiful buildings, and then it was the relationships that really kept me going.
Oh, that sounds lovely to hear, Geoffrey. You seem like so passionate about what you do, and already have a lot of like works on your portfolio. So what would you say it's like, I don't know, your favorite or the project that you're most proud of, and why, and what does it mean to you?
Great question. So I'll preface this question with saying in my current firm, I'm only, 12, 13, 14 months old. So my projects right now are in construction. So they're not fully done projects yet. But out of my current scope, there's a mid-century modern house in Portland, Oregon, that their house had sort of been modified every decade from the 60s. And so it wasn't cohesive and it felt really piecemeal, but the original bones were really good. And they were committed to making it good as it was in the 60s with modern finishes and appliances and things like that, and modern space planning. So it's been like a really rewarding project because the clients have been really committed to making something great. I think this one's important because I want to articulate the difference between commercial and residential work. Designing the Auto Camp Yosemite project, I found to be really important because with a hotel, you get thousands of people going through it. And so your reach to have an impact on a person is far greater than a residence. A residence is the people that live there, and then the future people that live there if they sell, and friends that come over. I'm very proud of because it is a high design project that a lot of people get to experience.
I'm super happy to work with you, Geoffrey. So let's get into deep about your experience with us. How about that?
Oh man, it's been fantastic. So as I previously had mentioned, I had skepticism on can this be this true? Can it happen this fast? And it's been amazing. Lihia has been an amazing partner. To be able to find someone who is home based in Argentina, whose English is perfect, who's effectively, a licensed architect in Argentina, did architecture school in the States, had to pass like red line tests with you guys, is proficient in Revit, is proficient in Twinmotion, understands code research, and has worked in this industry in this way for multiple types of firms. So she's been exposed to a lot of different requests.
Right.
Has been amazing. I mean, you've provided me with a very high quality, highly competent person. The time differences are never an issue. We
Right.
always find common time. And she's always been accommodating. If, for instance, she's been traveling, she's always been accommodating to my time zone, which has been appreciative. I haven't ever required it, but she's offered that because she knows I have a family and everything. So it's been really fun to like form a relationship and a friendship with her. Like I speak to her multiple times a week. I've been lucky and I've had fun also encouraging her to go travel and be anywhere she wants, and her work hasn't suffered at all. It's been amazing.
From the moment they mentioned BetterPros to you to after our first meeting to now that you're working with us already, how has the journey been with us since, again, you first heard about us and till this day?
So I did my first project at Reverie kind of on my own for the most part to get building permits. And as more work started coming in, I was like, oh, I'm going to need some support now. So I reached out to a colleague and I was like, hey, do you know of any services that I can use to help find some support for projects that I'm working on and, for Revit and for rendering? And he's like, yeah, BetterPros. And so he just initiated an email, and I believe the email was to Sophia. And then Sophia and I just had an initial meeting where she was asking for what I was looking for. And I was like, I'm looking for proficiency in Revit. I'm looking for someone to work with me on the design and the development and the permitting of two commercial outdoor oriented hotels, one in Utah, one in Oregon. After an initial call with Sophia, there was a couple of follow-up emails where I was determining whether I was going to proceed. And I was like, yep, let's proceed. And so then Sophia worked with her internal team and sent me 3 PDFs for 3 candidates with a small brief on each one. And I got to review Revit examples, rendering examples, professional examples, details, experience, resumes, all of that stuff, like within 24 hours or maybe at most 2 days, but it felt like pretty immediately. I think it was like a Thursday to a Monday. From that, I took about a week to look at it, digest it, be like, how did I just get these 3 resumes like immediately? Because my previous experience, it's like you gather resumes for like 6 to 8 weeks. And then I emailed Sophia like, hey, I'd like to meet with this candidate, which was actually her recommendation. And then Sophia said, great, we'll set up a meeting. I think the meeting was for the next day at 10 a.m. And then Sophia then also initiated a second meeting with a second candidate, just so I had an alternate person to look at and to interview on her own accord. She did that. By the end of the day, I think I had a contract. I was able to sign it. And I think that was midweek. And then the following Monday, it was on Zoom. And we were like setting her up with like Revit and Harvest, my time tracking software, and like Photoshop, all of the things. And it was so mind blowing how quick and effortless it was. Like there was no, like contract was super easy to read, super clear. The pricing was super easy to understand, super clear. There was no like back and forths. It was easy to digest in a timely fashion. And I was like, let's go, let's try it out. And it's worked. It's been great.
How do you feel that your work dynamic has changed ever since working with BetterPros and, the VPs you have already mentioned?
It's been fantastic. It's been great. Going with BetterPros has allowed me to offer very great salary to someone who has the flexibility to live in Argentina, to live in Italy, to live in Spain, who works on my time zone and who is working hourly right now. And so as a new business, the hourly was really important to me because things can happen with a new business. You can have a slow month, you can have a fast month. And Better Pros has allowed me the flexibility to not be stressed about always making sure that I have a certain amount of income coming in every month.
Because we understand that it's unsteady, that things change very fast. That's why our contracts are flexible. So I'm glad that that's something that helps you out.
Super flexible contracts, which have been very appealing. You get more than you think or than your expectation was or is. And it's been great.
Beautiful to hear. What do you value the most about Better Pros out of all of the things that you mentioned? And what would you say to someone that's considering working with a company like ours, like Better Pros, and that is unsure about this model of work?
Okay, so what do I value most about Better Pros first is I value the flexibility that your contracts offer. I value the very little risk in signing up and trying you guys out and seeing what works. And I value your ethos of the candidate isn't working. Well, let's look for a new one. I value that you as a company are able to do the sourcing, the vetting, the interviewing, the compiling, and the recommending for potential hire. And so that blew me away. That value there is incredible because I know how much time it can take to source, vet, interview, compile, and present potential staff to someone. And then a third one is just I value your communication. Like you guys are easy to communicate with. You guys are responsive, and everyone that I've spoken to there is has an enjoyable story.
Beautiful. And regarding that last question, what would you say to someone that it's, their initial, or that they're flirting with the idea of outsourcing, but they're scared to do so? What would you say to a business owner?
Man, I would say just try it. There's no strings. You can always say it's not working for you. And how are you going to know that this isn't something that's going to work for you if you don't try it first? If I keep growing, I'm going to keep calling Better Pros because it's offered me amazing staff and it's offered me the opportunity to also have flexibility in my life.
This has been so inspirational. Talking to you, Geoffrey, it's a real pleasure. You're so passionate about how you speak about you as an architect, about your studio, and about your experience with us. It's a real pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I consider you guys part of the team as well. I mean, I know that I don't see you guys every day, but you guys are all part of the team too. You guys are important to me as well. So I just thank you guys for what you provided to me, and also just thank you for being cool.
It's been a pleasure, a real pleasure to have you here, Geoffrey. And this means the world to us. And hopefully it will inspire other young architects like you to join.
That's awesome. Yeah, and let me know how else I can be a help.